Bongino, former Secret Service agent, author of Spygate, joins us tonight. Dan, this, I guess this is always true, is not exactly what we expected. When this man's apprehended, he turns out to be a middle-aged male stripper who identifies as an American Indian. These bombs may or may not have been operative. What do we know about this story that we didn't know yesterday? What conclusions can we draw from the facts we have right now?
Well, I can say having worked protective intelligence cases in the Secret Service for many years, which are the cases where we investigate threat cases, basically, out of the New York office, which was very busy, that the pattern here is actually not that unusual. You know, I've actually discussed this on Fox a couple times before, Tucker. You know, when you see movies like In the Line of Fire, a lot of people are obviously influenced by what happens in Hollywood. They think that's the real world. You see this target that's singularly focused on one subject. Taxi driver with, to use the De Niro movie, right? That's not the way it really works in the real world. What you see is pretty common with what you saw with the accused attacker today, where what we call target shifting, where they actually pick multiple targets at the same time. That's more common in the real world, and from our perspective, is indicative of a greater danger than that one person who focuses on that one, so it stalks that one person.
Oh, well, for sure. What do you make of the fact that none of these devices exploded? And I just want to be clear, that doesn't minimize the terror that they inspired. Sure. It's horrifying. But does it tell us something that they didn't go off? Were they intended to go off and he was an inept bomb maker? What can we conclude?
Well, there's only two possible explanations for this. One is that he didn't intend them to go off and had done his homework on it and intended them, as you said, to inspire terror. Again, no less devious, as you said, but obviously less deadly if they don't go off than if they do. Right. The second explanation, which I believe is more plausible in this case, is that he just was completely inept. The word you used, I think, is accurate. I think he was just entirely, completely inept, Tucker. I mean, the mistakes in this case, thankfully, and I say that in a positive way, the mistakes in this case are just incredible. Simple misspellings of names, sending packages to CNN where John Brennan doesn't even work. I mean, the use of tape. You know, Tucker, that's how they get fingerprints, tape. That's how latent print officers in police departments get fingerprints, using tape. It's just such an amateur hour operation, thankfully, that I think inept is the proper word. I don't think he intended these things not to go off. I think he was just really bad at this, if the accusations are correct.
If this man did what he is accused of doing, the profile is, I don't think, what you would expect. Again, this is a man in his mid-50s who identifies anyway as a Seminole Indian and has worked apparently for decades as a male stripper. You typically think of crimes like this as being committed by young men. He's not. Neither was the shooter in Las Vegas. Are we wrong in thinking that mass killing is typically inspired or carried out by young people?
Well, in this case, Tucker, I would attribute a lot of this, and I've seen this in some of the investigations I conducted into similar threat cases where the mail was used, whether the mail a threat or not. Narcissism may be at play here, and I mean extreme narcissism. Yeah. I don't mean looking in the mirror and combing your hair. I mean, when you look at the background of this guy, apparently, again, these are allegations, of course, but a former coworker said he was a steroid user, was obsessed with working out. This extreme narcissism and thinking you're somehow going to change the political process and you're the guy to turn this around, it's actually not that uncommon. And that target shifting is important. That was always a bullseye to me, that this person was a bigger danger than he was letting on if we found evidence that they were targeting multiple people at the same time. It's not just the quantity of people. It's the fact that they are so obsessed with doing something that they're not even willing to focus on one person. They'll get anyone. So it's not, the profile's pretty serious on this.
This is a very weird story, and so I look forward to finding out more. Yeah, I think we all do. Thanks, Dan, very much.